Chris Olave is a rookie for the New Orleans Saints who was drafted 11th overall in the first round of the 2022 draft. He has had big responsibilities laid on him early on in the season, and he has not disappointed. In this video, I want to dig a bit deeper on him, his impact on the team, and some of his weaknesses.
Pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State.
Some things to note about Olave is that he is 6'1" and runs a 4.39, a speed that he definitely used a lot in college. In his 4 years at Ohio State, he had 175 receptions for 2,702 receiving yards and 35 touchdowns, which is actually the most touchdowns ever from any Ohio State player. Most notable of the 4 years though was his senior year, in which he quintupled his receptions and quadrupled his receiving yards and touchdowns of his freshman year. In his senior year, he had 65 receptions, 936 receiving yards, and 13 touchdowns. One stat that you should remember is that he had 0 fumbles in that 4-year span. I'll touch more on this later on in the video. Regardless, Chris Olave was very good in college, which is why he was the 11th overall pick in the first round. The transition from college to the NFL is a big one that completely breaks a lot of college players. And even if they endure the immense skill gap, most don't perform nearly as good as they did in college. However, this isn't the case for Chris Olave. Chris Olave actually increased most of his stats from his senior year, including receptions, yards, and average yards per catch. In Chris Olave's rookie season, he played 15 games, which in reality was 14 and a half, because he got ruled out midway through the Seahawks game with a concussion. Chris Olave finished the season with 72 receptions out of 119 targets, 48 of those being first downs. He had 1,042 receiving yards. The last time someone from the Saints got above 1,000 yards was in 2019 when Michael Thomas had Drew Brees as his quarterback. Chris Olave this whole season only had 4 touchdowns. This is one of his stats that took a big hit coming from college. He had less than 1/3 of the touchdowns that he had in his senior year. But you have to keep in mind how much better defenses are in the NFL compared to college. So it's only natural for this to happen. He can't just outrun everybody for a deep passing touchdown like he used to in Ohio State. Chris Olave's solo stats are good, but truly, how much did he impact his team? Well, quite a lot actually. Chris Olave accounted for 1/3 of the team's total receiving yards. To be fair though, he had the most targets this season with 119. Second behind him was Kamara with 77. But you have to take this into account. The Saints, and probably Olave himself, weren't planning on him being wide receiver 1. That was Michael Thomas's job. But when he went down very early in the season, Chris Olave had to step up and take the sole responsibility of being wide receiver 1. The main one being looked at every game by opposing defenses. To say that as a rookie he carried the sudden responsibility, he more than exceeded the Saints and my expectations. And to make it worse, he had a very mediocre QB who didn't cater to his strengths at all, so he had to adjust. Chris Olave had 4 receiving touchdowns, second behind Juwan Johnson. It might seem pretty bad at first, but this was in the midst of a struggling Saints offense who couldn't find themselves in the end zone, as we had Pete Carmichael, who had no idea what he was doing. This is a little off topic, but another player that is in a similar situation to Olave is Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is a rookie wide receiver for the Jets who, as we know, had a big problem with finding their quarterback. Regardless, he totaled 1,103 receiving yards and 4 receiving touchdowns. This is him playing all 17 games, by the way. As of me making this video, Garrett Wilson made it to the Offensive Rookie of the Year finals over Chris Olave. I just find this a little silly because Olave had a better completion rate, average yards per catch, average yards per game, and had he played all 17 games, he would have surpassed Garrett by a pretty good amount. I really do think the NFL has something against us because There's no way we got Brock Purdy and Garrett Wilson over Chris Olave. Kenneth Walker, I understand. But Brock Purdy, like, the man only played 5 games, bro. Getting back on track now, I want to talk a bit about Olave's weaknesses. Olave is good. We know that. But he is not perfect by any means. He has a very big problem that he has to fix over the offseason. And even he himself knows it. He struggles a lot when it comes to strength and ball control, which go hand in hand. We have seen time and time again this season Olave making a catch and fumbling it or failing to come down with it. Most of the time it didn't affect him much, so we brushed it off since he was doing so good. Except in a season finale game versus the Panthers. There were 16 seconds left until halftime, and Olave made a big catch that would have put us at the Panthers' 24-yard line. But as he was running, he fumbled the ball. We went on to lose that game 10-7. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, in his 4 years at college, he had 0 fumbles. Why? Because Chris Olave only relied on outrunning his opponents. That's all he needed to do after all. Even though he has found great success in the NFL, Olave has really underestimated the importance of having strength. Another thing that strength would help with is enduring more hits. We have seen Olave get hit time and time again this season, and very hard at that. I definitely don't want to see him get injured, so I really truly believe he should be focusing on improving his body as most as he can. Another problem that isn't as big, but a problem regardless, is just what he does after the catch. He tends to just fall, slip, or run very sloppy after a catch. It's something I saw a lot while editing a highlight montage of him. Fixing this problem could help gain more yards and just be better overall. But now, as the season has concluded, Chris Olave and everybody around him acknowledges this. And hopefully next season we'll see an Olave with more muscle and a stronger body. All in all, I believe Chris Olave is a very good player who, if we're being real, carried most of the Saints offense. I've made 3 videos now on 3 Saints rookies. First was Rashid Shaheed, second was Alontae Taylor, and finally Chris Olave. I believe these 3 rookies have done a tremendous amount of work for the Saints and shined when given the chance. But there is no doubt in my mind that out of these 3, Olave had the biggest impact. But don't think the other 2 haven't put in work too. If you combine Shaheed and Olave, they amount for half of the receiving yards for the Saints. Shaheed was a punt kick returner for the Saints who did an excellent job at it. And finally, Alontae took over as cornerback 1, locking down top receivers when Lattimore was gone. He is a big contribution as to why we have the 2nd best pass defense in the league. That's really all I wanted to talk about. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe if you so please. Feel free to comment on any videos you'd like to see. It helps a lot and I read every single comment. Thank you for watching again and have a good day or night. Peace.